My company is Ortensia Blu Italian Adventures. I am a travel advisor, and I organize and arrange trips around the world for clients. I am a member of the Virtuoso Network, which is a consortia of luxury properties, travel advisors, and destination companies. I specialize in Italy, and I also organize and lead some trips to Off the Beaten Path, Italy. So, you know, we're all traveling, right? Or we have traveled, or we're supposed to travel, whether it's to see family, friends, girls' weekend, vacation with the kids, business travel. And due to COVID-19, that's all changed. So there's lots of questions on what we should be doing and what's the best travel game plan now. So, you know, we are a small group, so you know, if there are questions, Felicia, I can't see them, but just let me know and I can answer them as we go along. Some of the things that I want to talk about, should I cancel or postpone? What are the current airline guidelines? Travel insurance. When can I travel? International travel and cruising. So I just, you know, want to know, actually this was going to be in the chat, and Felicia, if you could just sort of let me know, you know, have you canceled or postponed a trip because of COVID-19? And just what is that trip? You know, where were you going? Were you rafting in Colorado? Were you going to England? Were you going to Thailand? Can you just do a quick chat, and Felicia, just let me know like what are some of the things that people have had to cancel?
So Ginger said she was supposed to go to Miami. Susan Elliott said she was supposed to go to San Diego for a conference, and then also Chicago. Teresa was supposed to go to Atlanta and then to England, and Ginger was going to Las Vegas for hockey and fun. Okay. And Marie was going to St. Martin and St. Barth. Wow.
Wow. Nice.
Sorry.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's put a big kibosh on everything for people.
Wow. And then, I'm sorry, and then Lisa said that she still has her tickets to go to Berlin.
Oh, good girl. When, Lisa? When are we supposed to go?
In August.
The very end of August. So
okay.
We're clinging on to them to see what happens.
Okay, perfect. Okay. One of the first things that I want to talk about are the current airline guidelines. Obviously, wherever we're going, chances are we're going to fly there. What are the airlines doing? And the policies are always changing. But one of the main things that I want to say is don't cancel your flight. The goal is you want to wait for the airline to cancel. Because when the airline cancels, you can get a full refund. If you call the airline to cancel, you're only going to get an e-credit. And there's stipulations on that. They have actually changed it out. So you have, in most cases, 2 years. But know that, you know, if you have a trip, you know, scheduled for July and you're thinking, I don't want to go, don't call and cancel, just wait. You know, and you can just keep waiting. It could be the day before. And if the airline hasn't canceled your trip, then you can cancel. The worst case scenario is you're going to get that e-credit, but you're not going to get the refund. Another thing with the e-credit when you get it is the e-credit is just for the amount of the ticket. It's not for the trip itself. So if you had, you know, a great fare, $500 to Paris, you're going to have $500. It's not going to be a $500 ticket to Paris. Another thing to keep in mind with the airlines, if they change your itinerary by more than 60 minutes, you can also cancel for a full refund. So if your flight number 44 from JFK to De Gaulle was supposed to leave at 10, and they've changed that to 11:30, you then can cancel and get a full refund. Or if they've changed a leg of it, let's say you were flying to Munich through London, and if they changed any part of that, you can also get a full refund. The airlines received $25 billion from the CARES Act, so they are required to cancel, if they cancel, to give you a refund. And that also includes the international airlines. As long as the flight starts and originates in the US, they have to follow the DOT rules. So keep that in mind if you have flights that you need to cancel. Another thing that to keep in mind is that when you call, and chances are you're going to be on hold, or they're going to call you, tell you to call back within 72 hours of your flight, or you're going to get in the queue and they're going to call you back. Remember that the person that you're talking to is obviously not making the rules. They are also, there's a very good chance they're working from home too, and they've got their kids and they've got all that stuff going on. So, because a lot of them, and I'm talking to a lot of them, and, they're saying it's amazing how rude people can be. And, they're saying we don't make the rules, we're just following out, what the rules are. The rules also change pretty quickly. So if you are talking to somebody and you think maybe they're not aware of the latest, and that's highly possible, because maybe they didn't look at the last email that they got saying that they've changed this, or that this flight is no longer available, or whatever. Kindly say, what, I think that, that was canceled. Would you mind checking on that for me? And, if you still are not getting the answer that you think you is the right answer, you can always call back and get somebody else. But, the airlines, this has been, this is unprecedented for all of them. And just know that this could change again. Right now you can book, there's some great airfares out there. Go ahead and grab them, as long as you're going to have as long as you can cancel it without a penalty, or postpone it without a penalty.
There was a question here from
Yeah.
Teresa. I don't know if you want me to hold the questions to the
No,
end.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, we're a small enough group.
Okay. So Teresa wanted to know what approximately % of the domestic and international flights are currently happening?
I don't know percentage. Definitely, so many of the international flights have been canceled. And now this is one of these where, given where normally, we JFK to wherever, we're great because we have all of these nonstops, right? How great for us. Well, our flights are also the last ones that are getting canceled. If you were flying from, Reno, Nevada to, Berlin via whatever, you're going to be canceled. You don't have to worry about it. You've gotten your refund. There's people here saying, hang on a second. I had this with a client the other day. She's supposed to fly to Rome, this week, and her flight hasn't been canceled. She said, I don't get it. Like, once you get to Rome, you can't go anywhere. You can get it ticketed if you go someplace. So why aren't those flights canceled? So domestic flights, as you've seen on the news, they're flying them because people do still have essential travel, and there's, the flights are flying empty. But internationally, there's not many.
Thank you, Laney. I guess I'm just coming from a position of if I had a member of the family that, God forbid, got very sick, or even worse in England, and I had to fly as an emergency, there are tons of flights to London, but really, as of today, are there any flights to London? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? I just, that's kind of where that question came.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I am sure that there are flights to London. It may not be the normal number of flights, but right, if there's an emergency, there will be a flight that somebody can get on.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any others? Nope. Okay. Travel insurance, which is something that I don't require of my clients, but I strongly recommend that everybody get travel insurance. And as a matter of fact, with that, if they don't want travel insurance, I have them sign a waiver for for saying that it was offered and not taking it. Travel insurance does one of two things. It protects your travel investment, and it also covers you for unexpected medical issues, which honestly, in my opinion, can be the more important piece of it. If you're going on a trip and you're spending, I'll just say $10,000, if something happens, if you need to cancel, it's $10,000. Definitely not an insignificant amount of money, but it's finite, it's $10,000. If something happens medically to you, you have no idea what, how much that's going to be. When you travel internationally, there's two things. First of all, you know, a lot of people say, well, I paid with my American Express card or my whatever card and I have travel insurance. You really want to double check that policy, because that may not give you the coverage that you want for cancellation, or may cancel only up to a certain amount. And that's not going to cover you internationally for your medical, nor is your health insurance here. So you always want to make sure when you travel, you know, insurance is one of those things, right, that we buy that we hope we never have to use. But the medical part of that is really important. I had a client just this past May. She was on a boat going to Capri off the Amalfi Coast with some friends. She slipped down the stairs and she broke her pelvis. You know, things you just don't expect, to happen. Travel insurance with COVID, can it help? It depends, and it depends on the policy that you bought. And going forward, it depends on the policy that you're going to buy. So if you have purchased a cancel for any reason policy, which is a CFAR, that allows you to cancel your trip within 48 hours of departure and get 75 to 80% back, depending on the policies. The travel insurance companies, it's definitely not an apples to apples. They all have different features and different things. If you bought that cancel for any reason policy, and those are more expensive, but if you did buy that policy, you can cancel. You cannot say you're canceling because of coronavirus. You can cancel because you're having a bad hair day, or because the dog pooped on the kitchen floor, anything like that. But you cannot say you're canceling because of COVID-19. It's cancel for any reason except for COVID-19. There's also lots of other reasons that are covered on your insurance policy. It could be if you lost your job, you can cancel your policy, you can cancel your trip and get your money back. So if you have travel insurance, if you have a trip that you're thinking of canceling or postponing, you really want to take a close look at that policy. Another thing with the travel insurance is, if you have a trip that you're going to postpone, what you can do is that travel insurance policy you can carry forward to your new date. Most of the insurers are giving you about 2 years to use that travel insurance policy.
Lisa was asking why is it that you can't cancel because of COVID-19? Why?
Because travel insurance policies don't cover pandemics. So if you say that, they're just going to say no because it's not covered. And there are some new, no one is going to cover you for Corona. There are some policies that are coming out. There's a couple of things that are happening, is that a lot of the cancel for any reason policies are going away. They're not offering that benefit, but some other insurers they're coming in with pandemic benefit policies.
And then there was a question for Italy. What do you think of the August trip? Thinking should we cancel?
Where in Italy?
You can unmute if you want, Alessandra. I don't know if she's asking where in Italy are you going?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Unfortunately, Tuscany. So
Okay.
I'm in the hot spot.
Yeah, that's really a tough one. Italy is opening back up slowly starting May 3rd. So
Right.
we're going to know a lot more then. So if it's, is it a tour or is it a?
No, we just rented a villa, but because of everything that was going on, I'd rent the villa a long time ago, like 6 months ago.
Okay.
And we do have now, because of COVID-19, they gave us a 30-day cancellation window. So, so that's good, but we never got flights or never did anything else because of all this that was going on, because we weren't sure it would happen. So we didn't want to put our energy into it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, if you will they let you, so you can cancel 30 days before a full refund?
Yes. Yes, and potentially we could move it to next year.
Yeah, honestly, for me, August, I wouldn't be booking any clients for August. For sure, waiting and seeing what happens in May. But
Yeah.
you can always postpone it.
Yeah.
My big thing is cancel, don't postpone. You know what? You wanted that trip anyway, right? So,
Yeah,
and
I know.
is it fully paid already?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. Sorry?
The villa is, yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing with that. You wanted to go on the trip anyway. It's paid. So if you postpone a year, guess what? How great is that? You have a prepaid vacation using probably pre-stock market decline funds.
Yes.
And then you have that, and you don't have that stress of, oh, do we go? Do we not go? What happens?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that is what, I mean, obviously my 74-year-old mother who's coming with us wants to postpone, and we've been all of us have been socially isolated for 6 weeks. So, we don't want to take any chances with anybody health-wise, obviously, even in August. And my daughter's ballet school, just for information for all of you, her ballet school program in London was just canceled today, and that was supposed to be for the end of July, and they're only allowing UK students. So I think that's what's going to start happening.
Well, and you know what, that is something also I've heard, and I don't know whether it's true or not, but I've heard that the Schengen countries, the European Union countries may only allow travel within the EU for EU residents. So
Right.
that they may not let us know. Right.
Yeah.
We don't know, even though technically England isn't the EU, but they're still, I mean, they're, it's in influx.
Right. Right. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Laney, I have a question about that. So the travel within EU for EU residents, when do you think that might start?
Well, this is just only what I've heard. I don't know if it's going to happen. As all of these countries start to open, we're going to know more. Like Germany is starting to open, I think next week, very, very slowly. Italy, I think this is a little bit crazy. They just last week opened kids' clothing stores and bookshops. I don't know. That was just sort of two weird things, and I don't know why those. But some of the other countries, it's just going to really depend, and you just need to wait and see what they're doing and whether you feel comfortable with their policies, right? There may be countries that have had massive cases, like Italy and Spain. And just because they're opening doesn't mean you're going to feel comfortable going.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Elaine, I think I'm going to just, we'll save maybe the rest of the questions for the end, just in interest of time, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine. Okay. Then this question that we just spoke about, when will I be able to travel again? And we really don't know. One of the things that I do know though is, part of travel is also that anticipation of travel, right? We get so excited. We're planning that trip and we're doing all the research and we're talking to everybody and getting recommendations. We've booked we're doing all the research on the restaurants, and we want to go to this museum to make sure we see this and that, and still do that. Even if you don't know when you're going to be able to travel, it's sort of like a dream now, travel later think you're still going to take that trip. It may not be just, you know, when you were hoping to do it. You know, another thing that I want to say, people, and I know like Lisa is one of those, your bags are packed, you're ready to go, you're ready for that next trip. You know, there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that are saying, well, hang on a second. I don't think I'm so comfortable getting on a plane or, you know, getting on a cruise ship or doing something like that. You know, I think it's going to take me a while before I go stay in a hotel. Everybody has to do what they feel comfortable with. And one thing I also sort of want to stress is don't feel pushed into something. You know, if there's a cancellation policy on something and they're telling you you need to know now or you need to use it by a certain date, you know, talk to them. Terms and conditions, cancellation policies are a little malleable these days. People aren't sticking to them 100%. So things to talk about: international travel, cruises, domestic travel. Let's talk about cruises for a second. The cruise industry has come to a halt. There are no cruises leaving until July. The cruise industry is a $50-some billion industry. One of the things, so the cruise lines, with all of these cancellations that they've done, they are allowing refunds, or what they're doing to have people postpone their trip is they're offering, you know, some sort of lucrative packages. You know, they're giving you maybe like 120, 125% future cruise credit. So if you paid, you know, X number of dollars, you're going to get that much more, so you can upgrade to the next cabin. They're also offering, you know, some extra onboard credits, things like that. They want to keep people cruising. And if you're a cruiser, you love to cruise, and that's what you're going to do. You're not going to let this stop you. The cruise industry is changing a lot of the ways they do things, as are airlines and hotels and things like that. Another thing about the cruise lines is, although they're mostly not US flagged ships, they're all owned by foreign companies, the cruise industry does also employ over 400,000 Americans. So in addition to the cruise line itself, when the cruise is at destination, that's a lot of other people. You're using local tour guides. They're using local farmers and produce and things like that. So the cruise industry is bigger than just that ship, just that boat that you're on. International travel, you know, back to the original question, we don't know, and it really depends, and it depends what you feel comfortable with. International travel is not going to look the same. It's going to look very different. People, first of all, we don't know what hotels are going to be open. We don't know what guides are going to be around. We don't know if some of these museums can reopen. International travel is going to be a whole different ball game, and it's going to look really different. People are going to be more interested in experiential travel. They're not going to be looking for the big, the group tours. They're, getting on a big bus with a Trafalgar or a Colette or something like that tour, which are great. People might be thinking a little bit differently, and those companies may be making the tours a little bit smaller. Don't discount domestic travel. I mean, we have a beautiful country here, and you can either take a short flight someplace, you can hop in the car, you can go. We have fabulous hotels, national parks. If you don't feel comfortable traveling internationally, travel here, but do it the way you would do it internationally, right? Like if you're going to go to Paris and you're going to go on a food tour, or, you're going to go to Amsterdam and go on a boat ride down the canals, go on that food tour in San Francisco, take that boat in the river in Chicago, do some of those things, get a guide to show you around the national parks, something like that. Just because it's our country and we speak the language and we think we know it, there are so many people that know more than we do about where we're going, and it would be really nice for them, the locals, to show us their city. I'm open to any questions. It's a big, this has affected anybody it's affected anybody who's had a trip planned, but the entire industry. I mean, I'm a travel advisor. This is what I do for a living. And it went from being this fabulous business and isn't this fun and isn't this great and oh my gosh, to whoa, what just happened? And, we all sit here. It takes just as long sometimes to pull apart a trip as it does to book the trip. So we're still working, pulling back the layers of the onions and seeing where we're going to end up. But, people are going to travel again. Everyone's going to travel again. And personally, I can't wait. I've got a lot of things on my list for the rest of the year. Anyway, I'm open to questions, comments.
So there are questions, and you guys can unmute or I can ask the questions. There's a few here. Susan Elliott had said she had a trip planned in mid-September to Virgin Gorda. Nice. I can cancel if I need should I get the flight tickets now? Or
Cancel it by when?
No, I can cancel it. I made these reservations like 18 months ago for this particular place, but I hadn't gotten the flights yet. I probably could not get the trip back if I gave up the accommodations. But my question is, should I go ahead and try and just get flights now?
Yeah, you know what? They're cheap flights. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Really cheap flights, but make sure that you can cancel. Make sure, depending on when you're going, the flights, make sure that there's not a cancellation fee.
Right. I'm going the middle of September is when it's a week. It's like, I think we're supposed to leave the 12th of September.
Okay. Check with the airline. Originally what they were doing is like, if you booked by this date, there wasn't going to be a cancellation fee, or this date, whatever it is. And it changes every day practically. But call the airline and see what the cancellations. But yeah, I mean, the Caribbean has not been hit as much.
I don't know if they had been closed or not. I mean, like I had heard the Dominican was closed.
I don't know. That could very well be. And islands, it's easier too.
True. This is pretty remote though, but there again, they may not want. If it's remote and they're not getting, people, if people come in, they're going to start getting more
New Yorkers. Right?
Yeah. Like, how many licenses have we seen from New York? Go home, go home.
And then Ginger said, should we worry about when booking that operators will go bankrupt? And we are looking at going to the Galapagos on a small ship. Is that a bad idea to book now?
This is a tough one. Because there are people that are going to go out of business. I actually had clients September and October, 2 different groups. One is 12 people from Australia that were booking a villa in Tuscany. And the company, it's an American company. And after 27 years, they just went out of business. So yeah, it could happen. Do your homework on the company. Get travel insurance, because the travel insurance, and look very carefully at that travel insurance policy. Some of them will cover you for a bankruptcy. So you really want to make sure that some of them cover blanket, all bankruptcies or going out of business, something like that. Some of them have a list. It depends. And I don't want to say if they've been around for a long time, they should be good, because there were some companies that had been around for 100 years this year before this all happened that went out of business.
Are hotels open now? Like if we did a road trip, not that we're doing it right now, but are they open to, or because I heard there's, people, homeless are staying in the hotels at some places, or how does this work?
Some are and some aren't. It depends. It depends. I think that here, are you talking domestically or internationally?
Domestically.
Yeah, was as we start to open up here, we're going to know more. For sure, there are hotels that are closed tight. I mean, if you go to like Marriott's website to try to book something, it's going to be really hard. Even like, in Manhattan, where the Four Seasons is turned, closed and turned into, housing emergency workers. It's a case by case. And then what you're going to want to do is when you are ready to go, you're going to want to make sure that that hotel has been thoroughly cleaned and sanitized, and you're still going to go with your wipes and your masks and your, everything. We're going to do it differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, we were supposed to do an Airbnb in Montana in August sometime. So I was talking to my sister, like, should I book the flights now? And I guess you're saying maybe that would be good as long as I have cancellation options. I could get something very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a cheap flight, and you can cancel it and you're probably gonna, if you cancel it, get an e-credit, but that's fine. You're gonna eventually fly, right? You're not gonna, never fly. Or, I don't know, a lot of people are hopping in their cars and going, hey, do a road trip. They say the RV business is going to have a big upswing because people are going to they're not going to want to stay in hotels, but they are going to want to travel. So they're getting in an RV and that's how they're taking the trip.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions? And you guys can unmute yourself to chat a little bit. Well, this was great. I mean, we can dream of the future. Actually, it was interesting. There was a podcast. I don't know if anybody listens to The Daily. I love The Daily. And they were just talking today. They were interviewing a guy, just like, what do things look like in the future, based on this. And they talked about when if you are immune, at some point, like you're going to have this whole different status than for travel and everything else than the ones that are not immune, which is kind of an interesting thought too, about like how that's going to be handled.
Well, right. And some places are saying, they're going to test you before you, can get on the boat or get on the ship or go back to work or whatever. I mean, it's just going to look different. I mean, we if you think about it, we get on an airplane, that whole process is going to be different. They're going to be taking our temperatures. We're not going to be handing them our licenses. How silly is that, right? That we hand them these, licenses that everybody touches. And, then you go through and everyone touches your stuff as you go through security. That's all going to change.
Yeah. And they said cash is going to change. Like people aren't going to, hand out money anymore. Things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really something to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? That's what travel is. It's the anticipation. It's fun. And we all want to have that to look forward to. So we are going to travel again. We may just do it a little differently. Please, if anybody has any questions, that's my email. I'm happy to to answer any of the questions if something pops up, or if you have a question about something. Hey, you have something booked with so-and-so, have you heard anything? Are they going to be okay? Are they not going to be okay? I may not have a definitive answer, but I may know something.
A question about insurance.
Yeah.
You were saying you should get the insurance. Like if you're getting travel insurance, is there a special company to go to for travel insurance if it's
So, yeah, I mean, first of all, if you're working with a travel advisor, we all sell travel insurance. That's one of the services that we provide. You can go to, there's a website called Square Mouth, just, as it is. And that has all different travel insurers and they do reviews. I think you can purchase from them. Some of the big names are Allianz, Travel Insured, TravelX, Travel Guard. There is Chubb. If you have Chubb homeowners, Chubb has some sort of a travel insurance component with their with your homeowners. But when you look at the travel insurance policies, you know, they're, like I said, they're not an apples to apples. So you sort of need to, you know, just look at the basics. You know, one may have like a, you know, a $50,000 cap on the medical, another may have 100,000, but one may have a higher insured amount for cancellation. So